Royal Sports World Grand Prix on Sky Sports.
Oli!
What has happened?
Put an overlay on.
And the wrong one.
No, I haven't.
Hello, ladies. Hey!
There we go.
Why do you get a big picture?
There we go.
Because he is the captain now.
That's
There we
better.
go. That's better. Welcome, one and all, to the Fallout Bar. We are back. And with myself, Cam, and Dob, going to talk you through all the action from a day one of the Grand Slam of Darts. Before we do, Cam, Dob, how are you both doing?
All right, yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. It's been a while since I've done one of these, so it's good. It's good to be back. It's been a good day as well.
And you, Dob?
Been a good day, but been a long day. Obviously, for big reasons. In Reading, at the World Seniors as well. Hoping the weekend continues in good vein, though. I am playing Cam in fantasy football this weekend, and I'm kicking his backside.
You are, because I forgot to do my team before Thursday night's game, and I had two players that did very, very badly.
Yeah, plus your tight end didn't even play while you got Kelsey on the bench.
Yeah.
Nixon's still in your side, so cheers, up the Lucasade.
Yeah.
There is plenty of time tomorrow to talk about your fantasy football team, gents, but there's been so much darts that we can't digress this evening. But before we go into the Grand Slam, Dob, I'm going to pass it over to you to talk us through what has been, from what I've seen from the streaming or the social media updates, what has been a fantastic first day of qualifiers for the seniors. So if you could fire us in with an update of what we've seen from Reading.
My time to shine, boys. Yeah, look, it's been a great 2 days after my travel escapades to finally arrive in Reading last night. Left Nottingham at midday, got into the city at 5 to 5. Got to the venue about 5:30, very stressed, very tired, worn out a little bit, but we got through it last night. We had a money in, money out flyer that was won by Colin McGarry. Great final against Jim McEwen. Obviously, nobody qualified for the World Seniors last night, but it was really good just to have that many people in the room. Normally, at a flyer, these sort of events, you get about 30 or 40 people from the field. We had 98 out of the 128 that registered their interest to turn up for the World Seniors qualifier, turn up for the flyer. So that was really, really great. It was a great atmosphere to start that. And then obviously today, on to the big moment. Richie Howson is the first man to qualify for the World Seniors through the qualifiers. Fantastic performance from him all day. Started off the day by beating Ronnie Baxter. Then he beat Paul Holloway, who made the last 4 of the flyer the night before. He beat Mark Hilton. He beat Brian Dawson. He beat Colin McGarry. And then he beat Ian Moss in a fantastic final up on stage. So he is the first man through. Plenty of big names were in. Plenty of big names struggled. Andy Jenkins lost early. He lost in the last 1-2-8, actually. There's a few players that got by straight into the 64, but Jenks had a 1-2-8 match against Matt Clark, which is a really, really tough game for him. So he'll be hoping to go better tomorrow. Kevin Bernesi found himself into the quarterfinals, maybe even the semi-finals. Actually, it's been such a long day. Struggling to remember where some of these players fell. Chris Mason in the flyer last night, after saying he was going to do absolutely nothing, rocks up. First game, throws 100 average, backs it up with a not a great performance. Third game, 102 average, and then he lost to Jim McEwen in a great game as well. So Mace has definitely got the game if he's going to turn up and show it, and a few others still loitering, lingering, and perhaps we'll be looking to give it a go on the Sunday. So yeah, a really great weekend so far. Another day to go. My feet are absolutely killing already, and I've been in trainers. I dread to think if I'd actually dressed how I'm supposed to be at these events, or at least a little bit more appropriate footwear wise. But yeah, it's been great. The guys at the Crucible have been fantastic hosts. The bar staff have been really, really friendly. The guys involved in the streaming have been class. The guys that are running the tournament, Robbie, has been superb. Paul Starr, the MC, has been fantastic. And actually, meeting Helen Chamberlain today, the very, very first time I've ever met and worked with her, she has been unbelievable to be around. Just the energy, the vibe she brings to the backstage area has been superb. So, yeah, another day to go tomorrow. Really looking forward to it. Don't ask me to pick who I think I'm going to qualify because I just don't know. It's so open.
So I'm not, and just before we go to Wolverhampton, I'm not going to ask you to pick someone to qualify tomorrow. But if I could ask for someone who is one to watch, so just thinking of numbers, performance, someone who's going to have a good run tomorrow, picking one to qualify tomorrow is near on impossible, especially from someone from online darts, because we know that never happens. So if we could pick one to watch, Dob, who would it be from Reading?
Well, I mean, if you win the flyer and then you get beat in the semi-final of the first event, Colin McGarry has to be close because that's a lot of wins under your belt already. He's been up on stage, he's tasted victory, he's beaten Jim McEwen twice, who is playing some fantastic darts recently. And you've got to really be keeping an eye on Kevin Burness as well. He's been pretty solid. He's done bits in the live league recently. He's still in for this phase as well. I think he's already qualified for Champions Week. Just before the World Championships get going in the UK for the PDC. So, yeah, they're the ones to keep an eye out tomorrow. And some of the older names as well, just to see if they go and have a bit of a run. Mark Hilton has been fantastic company for the last 2 days. Actually told me that he sits and watches us on a Monday night. Poor bloke. But there's been a few, actually, that have come up and said hello that have seen our stuff and are really happy that we're just there. So, yeah, they're the ones to keep an eye out. And, yeah, we go again tomorrow, I guess.
Cheers, mate. And I think before we move on to Wolverhampton, I've told you numerous times this weekend, I'm very jealous that you're in Reading and seeing all the action. But now I think it is time to move on to the Slam and the 16 games that we've seen today. A lot to go through. And we'll start with 9 holes of throw in a performance between Ryan Joyce and Stephen Bunting, with Ryan Joyce coming through 5-4. Cam, your thoughts on this one? A very good start to the day from both players, but it was Joyce who come through in the end.
Yeah, it was a cracking start to the day, wasn't it? First game of the day, first game of the tournament, and really, really good standard. Kicked it off perfectly, really. I mean, Stephen Bunting hit his second highest average ever in a televised game of 106.7 and managed to get beat, and was never actually particularly that close to breaking Ryan Joyce at any point. We didn't have a break or throw at any point in the game. I think he had one dart at double top in the decider, Bunting, where he could have nicked it. But other than that, Joyce played really well on throw, and Bunting was just really, really good all the way throughout. Great start to the day.
And then moving on to game 2, we had the Polish Eagle, one who has been in some fantastic form. Dobbs already nodding.
The smile was going already straight away as soon as you mentioned it.
But before I go to Dobb on this one thing to touch on this. Ratajski was favourite and was definitely strong favourite in this one. But coming up against Schindler, who's also been in impressive form, that he's tired this year and been in very good form. Result in this one, probably not surprising. Storyline, very surprising for me. Dob, your thoughts?
Yeah, look, guys, if you want actual in-depth insight into anything that's actually happened today, ask Cam, because he's sat and watched a large majority of this session. I haven't seen anything, so I'm reacting to the results pretty much the same way that you guys are. And Lee's absolutely hitting the nail on the head there. Christopher Ratajski, keep using the phrase he's been a different animal on TV this year. And his first round performances just keep getting solid. He's incredibly difficult to beat. It's incredibly difficult to break. Martin Schindler has been in superb form of late. So to only chuck in an 81 average on his return to a big stage, don't get me wrong, solid performance from Ratajski, 94 average, but it's not unbeatable at that point. So a little bit disappointing from Schindler, like you said.
Totally agree. Surprised with the scoreline. Very surprised with the scoreline in this one. But then game 3, when we talked about surprises, this one for me on Monday night, and I'm sat here doing predictions with you, Mervyn King was down to finish top for myself, and looks like I can't remember Dobbs' prediction, but looking at his face, it looks like very much the same. Cam, on this one, averages don't show it being as a great game and don't show it being as a great performance from Bradley Brooks. However, on debut at the Slam, to come away 5-1 victory against Mervyn King, who is playing some good stuff at the moment, there's not much more you can take away from Bradley Brooks for it. He won't mind what his average was at that point.
No, he won't care one little bit. He thought he played pretty well. He did what he had to do. Merv was not. He hasn't been at the level. He's been in the form of his life for the last sort of 18 months, but he wasn't at that today. And Brooks did exactly what he needed to. It was just a bit of a clinic of 70 plus finishes. Like he had 2 74s and a 76 in the middle of that game, where took all 3 of them out, and that kind of finished it off. Looked pretty cool up there for his first time up there at the Slam. I think us Blackburn lads, we don't get too nervous. We just get on and crack on, don't we? So
because you don't expect anything.
That's true. We haven't grown up.
You are so used to the disappointment by now. It's been a long, long time since you were relevant.
That's it.
I'm certainly not going to comment on that one. However, Cam, moving on to game number 4, I don't think it would be right bringing Dobb in at this stage to talk about James Wade losing 5-4. So I'm going to come back to you on this one, which for me, while I was watching this, there was only one winner, and it was James Wade. And then what happened is Jim Williams was the one who was able to take it. And not only how big of a win is it for Jim Williams on the stage, we know it can be a bit of a slow starter, but what a good position it puts him in for the rest of the week.
Yeah, really, really good win for him. Actually, I think, like you say, I think Wade, when he hits that 180 in the last leg, you're kind of expecting that he's going to take that 1 or 3 out because it's just what James Wade does. And he couldn't do it. He didn't, but to be honest, that visit, he didn't actually look like getting anywhere near it. And Williams cleaned it up first start just to get it done. I think it's a massive, massive win, that. I mean, even winning 4 legs isn't too bad in your first game. You can kind of get away with it, and he'd probably have taken that against Wade first up. But now it puts him in a really strong position to try and move on. I can't believe you've not gone to go on this. I think you're being far too nice because it's your first time. I can't believe it either. Your first time in the hot seat, you're being a little bit too nice.
The reason I'm being a bit too nice, and Dob will tell you as well, is because I've been praising him quite a lot about the work he's done to seniors. I know how busy he's been today, so when I saw that Mervyn King and James Wade didn't win, and that Dob was coming on the show tonight, I thought I can't do that to him. However,
to be fair, I'm more than happy to talk about James Wade in a minute because he's playing rubbish. And I said I didn't expect a lot from him on Monday night. Mervyn King, I'm going to go cry myself to sleep about because that's just not on. But James Wade, look, this was the fear. When we spoke about it on Monday night, I don't think I remember putting James Wade out of the group, and it was for this exact reason. He is struggling. He is struggling for form at the minute. He can't really kick on from that 90s average. And tonight, without seeing it, but listening to the way you two have explained it, to be in a position where James Wade was always going to win the game and then lose it is the most inverse James Wade thing you've ever seen in your life. The amount of games he wins where he is never the guy that's about to win this but steals the last leg. He's made a living from that for the last 25 years, for Christ's sake. To lose that to a player that is notoriously a slow starter, hasn't had that much success in this event, entering as a BDO representative in the past, despite having a fantastic amount of ability, that'll be a worry for James Wade because this is a tough group now and needs a result against Boris, and then anything can happen in that final one. But to have to go to Rob Cross and get a result, which is potentially where this group is going to go, he's in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, I agree on that. I think that the only thing that may help is if Rob Cross is already through. And that's if, because we know how the lead difference go, and we'll come on to Rob Cross's win in a minute. But just one bit of a word on Jim Williams. We're talking about James Wade, who normally gets over the line at that point. And we talked about Jim Williams having a bit of a slow start. more on the basis of what we've seen in the live league. We've seen him pick up the title before, but it's a bit of a slow start into the week. What a win for Jim Williams this afternoon. And then, like I says to Tam at the start, what a position he puts himself in, knowing that you would expect one more win would put him into the knockout stages.
Shows you the value of that competitive darts week in, week out. That
Yeah.
I think without that, there's no way he goes in and wins today against James Wade.
And then before we move on to the other 4 games on Saturday evening, let's hear from Jim Williams.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go to the Ali Pali. If nothing else, it's experience for next year in it. So, yeah, that's my plan.
Was that an easy decision to make because of everything that goes with it?
No. I mean, Lakeside is the best venue I've ever played in. That's a special place. So, yeah, it wasn't easy, but yeah, that's the way we're going.
Good. Thanks very much.
So, no conversation there about the performance, and you can see all that on our Online Darts YouTube channel, where you'll see the full interview from Jim Williams. But just on that point, very quickly, do you think it's the right decision? Tweet yes or no, Tam. Right decision?
Yeah, it's got to be for me.
Dob?
Yeah, look, the minute you win a tour card, this is where you're going to be. That's where you've set your stall out for the next 2 years. If the WDF World Championship was before the PDC, then I potentially could have seen him doing both. But the minute that falls a day afterwards, it's just not going to happen.
So then we had 4 more games on Saturday afternoon. Very, very quick on this one, because it was a ease into victory for Rob Cross, coming through against Boris Turchmar, 5-0. Ease to victory, and then we'll probably know that a win against Jim Williams will put him potentially into the next round, because of the lead difference in this one, would probably put him through. Then we saw Johnny Clayton beat Rusty Jake Rodriguez 5-3. Tam, in this one, we've seen Clayton miss the European Championships. We've seen him miss a couple of Pro Tour events. Was this the Clayton you expected? Do you expect him to then push on?
Yeah, I think it was a solid start, wasn't it? He did what he needed to. He was impressive at times, finishing again as always. And there's always a ton plus in there, and then a couple of 180s to finish it off. But it was a solid start to the week, and I think he'll kick on from there, and he's going to be very dangerous again.
And then once then, I'll stay with you moving on to the next game, because Clayton didn't ease the victory 5-3, but then Derwin Price was pushed all the way in his game against Nathan Rafferty. And in the conversations we was having in the live lounge on our group, WhatsApp group chats about the certain groups and who we expect to be a bit of a whipping boy, Nathan Rafferty certainly didn't prove that today and put up a great fight against Derwin Price.
He did. He played really, really well. Again, another person, first time up there on the Grand Slam stage, and he looked right at home. He looked like he was meant to be there, and pushed right to the end. And to be honest, he could have nicked it at the end.
Could have nicked it, potentially should have nicked it, but we are now going to hear from Derwin Price, and I've already heard this interview, and it certainly feels like that Derwin Price didn't feel like he was just playing one player on the stage and he was playing a few other people. Let's hear from Derwin Price now.
Yeah, it's difficult playing. Especially Nathan, I think, played really well. In the middle part of the game, it's hard enough playing him and playing the crowd. But then you hear his manager in the background, he's louder than the crowds. I mean, Jesus, if you want to do that, fair play. But yeah, I go over the win line. It was a bit sticky, but yeah, I could have lost that game. But if I did lose, it was because of my own fault.
So, once again, controversial comments from Derwin Price, Dob. On this one, it's not...
And water is wet.
Yeah, we've heard him... However, what I will say, we've heard him talk about his opposition player. We've heard him talk about the fans before. I've got a feeling this is the first about talking about the player's manager. I'm not sure about you, but I'm sure it is.
To be fair... In that position where your friends and family and those guys sit just to the left of the walk-on, if you're looking at the stage face on from the crowd, they're not a million miles away, and you can be pretty vocal and you can be heard. There's been moments where humble little brag. I've watched back games where I've been at, and you can hear me specifically shouting for certain players at places like the Match Play, and that venue is much, much louder than Wolverhampton. So if it's constant, if it's consistent, fair enough. But you've won, you've got away with it. I just don't see why you need to keep coming up with these little jibes and quips like, move on, be bigger, and go, you tried that, it failed. You don't need to throw shade at every opportunity you've got. And someone replied to it on Twitter going, Gerwin Price needs some media training. He just needs somebody there next to him going, is that a good idea? Is that the right sort of thing? From our point of view, 100% not. Because then I'm sat going, oh yeah, Price 154, we move on. And I don't get to talk about this. We don't get an interview clip. We don't get the traction. We don't get the reaction and whatever. And from a media, we're always going to want something other than just the darts, because it often delivers even bigger talking points. But from his point of view, after you've had the year that you've had as world champion, where you haven't won a TV title since the World, no, not the World Cup, not won a TV title since you've won the World Championship. You've had a bit of up and down. You've had your injury. You've had your battle with the crowd again, which seemed to have disappeared for all, obviously, because there's no crowd through COVID. But even then, when fans came back, it wasn't there to start with. That sort of re-emerged its ugly head in Leicester. I just think he needs to pick his battles a little bit more.
He just needs someone behind the camera just stood there going, no, just stop now. Stop talking for a second.
Which I've seen from other people. I've tried to take players on nights out afterwards. This manager in the background, no, it's not happening. You're not going. And that's it. They do as they told. And look, they were all, Gerwin Price, fantastic dart player, world number one, world champion. You don't get there without some sort of ability and something about you. And he's been in professional sporting environment before. As a rugby player, that story is well known. So he knows what he can and can't do. But at the same time, I just think there is a little bit of a difference between that rugby environment and that darts environment. And I still think those wires get crossed a little bit for Gerwin Price.
Yeah, I think just one point on that for me is that the pitting the battles. There's the media training stuff. I don't agree with you on that, Dob, because for us it's perfect. The one for me is pitting your battles. It's your first aim. You've come through it as expected to come through it, but it seems like straight away you're trying to set the fans on your back night one or day one. And we've seen it end well in Wolverhampton before, but it's not always going to end that way if the fans are on your back from the start. So we know he's potentially got a difficult run if it's in depth through the groups, and it's just one of them that I think today was a strange comment to make on day one. But moving on to the final game of the day, and I'll come back to you, Tam, on this one. So we had Christobi late call up and to the slam replacing Dimitri in some fantastic form. Seen on his socials that he was away in Malta, I believe, this week, but travelled back on the Thursday or Friday to play in this event. Would have gone into this game as favourite, but finds himself defeat to Robijan Rodriguez 5-3.
Yeah, he was probably not quite at it as we've seen from Dolby recently in the way he played, but I think it would probably be a little bit unfair to focus anywhere other than Robijan, to be honest. I thought he was fantastic. He's kicked off with 5 perfect darts in the first leg and kind of just went on from there. He could have broken again. He could have broken in leg 2. He could have been 3-4-0 up quite easily early on. I think 5-3 didn't actually flatter him at all in the end. I thought he was fantastic. And Dolby wasn't a million miles off where he needs to be, and he's still right in there with 3 legs in his first game.
Yeah, and it is one of them that, like Paul up, not sure how much preparation he's had for this event. Obviously been away in Malta, but how much preparation he's had for it, and hopefully we'll see an improved Derby in the levels we've saw, like it says, across the past few months on the Pro Tour. So then moving on to the evening session, and Dob, we'll come to you on this one. Gabriel Clemens, 5-1 winner against Mike Didetta. Clemens winning it with a ton. Impressive from the German. We saw Didetta go into 7 perfect darts and a very, very unlucky 8th dart for me, deflected into
it was, yeah. I didn't really got enough credit for that on the commentary, to be fair.
No, I didn't think they did. If you looked at it as a picture, it looked like a really bad dart. However, you could hear the deflection as it happened. But overall, your thoughts on this one, Dob?
Look, it's difficult to say I expected more because I'm just looking at this from a stats base. I still haven't quite finished in Reading at this point. So to lose 5-1, disappointing, especially after knocking out Adrian Lewis and Kim Hybrex to get here for Mike Decker. He seems to have turned a corner recently with his form. 94 average, though. Can't really be shrugged at. Clemens only a 96, so it's just those key moments he's lost the battle in there. Gets to go again, obviously, because this is a group stage. If this was a knockout, you'd be obviously really disappointed straight away, but gets another chance. The leg difference might be an issue later on in the group, but he just has to put that right in the next game and hope it's not too much of a factor.
Yeah. I'm with you on that one. And then game number 2, Cam. Jose de Sousa 5 and Matt Campbell 1. So this was probably, looking at it for me, this was potentially the group of death. In regards to all 4 players, we know what we've got in Group H with the 3 standout players in there. But for the 4, it was a very hard one to pick. Jose doing Jose things then, leaving 54 and knowing double 14, double 13. I'm assuming it wasn't intentionally.
No, I don't think so.
He did say afterwards he went for the single 14. And
I think the fact that he got very confused after it as to what he had left and it took him a while to get his head around it probably showed that it wasn't quite intentional, that one, but...
They were very clinical, 2 darts anyway at the double if he wasn't aiming for.
Yeah, they were.
On this one, though, not just a Jose performance, but for me anyway, expected a lot more from Matt Campbell on debut.
Yeah, he didn't really get out the blocks, did he? And he got behind early because of that. I think that was like where he probably struggled a little bit. And once Jose was ahead, he kind of just ran away with it. But yeah, he didn't start overly well, Campbell. Jose, the 101 in the first leg, which almost looked like he went single 5, treble 20, double 18. I don't think he did, but it was that far into the single 5 that it looked almost like he'd gone that way. And then we saw him go for the 3 tops again on Shanghai. The second dart, the first one went in, and then the second one nearly hit Gob in Reading, I think. It was that far away. But other than that, he played pretty well, to be honest.
And then moving on to contender for Game of the Night. I spoke to Dob potentially just before this one, or maybe just after on the phone.
Just after this one, I think.
Just after. But with this one, I say potentially down the night, because we're going to come on to another one later on that is certainly in the mix. What a performance for me for Mensur Suljovic, considering this was a player who had question marks about 3 months ago to see if this guy would continue on the tour, probably down into next year. What a performance from the gentle, Dob.
Yeah, he just had a bit of a hiatus mid-year, didn't he? There were things going on, a little bit concerned about COVID still, but he's returned with a bang, and that's a very, very good win against an informed Luke Humphries on the TV at the minute. 101 average from Luke, and he loses 5-3. Still in the hunt, but like I said, it is a tough group. It's one of them where you're just looking at players that can beat each other all over the place. So big game against Matt Campbell for him tomorrow. Mensur versus Jose, anything could happen in that one, and see how the rest of it plays out. But yeah, look, Luke Humphries is playing fantastic darts on the telly at the minute. Just the 180 from him was a little bit of a shock. To 3 from Mensur. Can Mensur keep this up for the entire tournament? We've seen it before. Match play against Gary Anderson in that final. He was superb getting there. Champions League winner as well. Let's see if the same Mensur's still there. Because in his interview that's on our YouTube channel, he said he's only about 80% of his old self at the minute. So go ahead and check that one out if you get a chance.
Yeah, totally. And moving on to the next game, I apologise, Tam, because we've just gone to a contender for Dame of the tournament, and then potentially one of the poorest games we hopefully will see this weekend, and the standard will get a lot better. But it was Gary Anderson who came through a 5-1 winner against, as we was aware before the tournament, injured Joe Davis.
Yeah, it's the one game that I wrote very little down as we were watching it, other than the fact that Joe Davis looks like he's really, really struggling. And he looked like he was struggling even more so. Anytime he had to switch down the board, he was so low on the treble 19 every time. It looked like it was even harder for him to throw it down with the elbow injury. So, yeah, it was tough for him, obviously, because he's clearly in a lot of pain. He probably shouldn't be there, probably shouldn't be playing, but you're not going to give up the opportunity, are you? Unless you absolutely cannot let go of a dart. And Gary just did what he had to and kind of didn't have to raise his level too high and got himself through.
Yeah, it was. You're spot on with that one. It's a very difficult one to sort of analyse because of the injury to Joe and the performance then from Gary. It seemed to. I've got a feeling if Joe would have stepped it up a level, we might have seen a better performance from Gary, but he'd done what he had to do to get through that one. And then moving on to game number 5, Dob, was the whitewash from MVG against Lisa Ashton.
Yeah, 2 whitewashes in this group, starting with MVG. And look, even if Lisa produced the best game we've ever seen her play on TV, or got close to that 100 average we've seen from her previously against Aaron Bean at the UK Open, just not sure it would have been enough to beat Michael van Gerwen tonight. He's in fantastic form. Michael Bridge in his interview afterwards has said, is he nearly back? And Michael's bullishly's like, no, I am back. There's no nearly. He believes he is back and ready to start picking up titles. Obviously won the
Gibraltar.
That's the one, Gibraltar. Playing well, obviously, clearly. Averages are flying up. They're staying up as well. There's no indifferent performances really backing it up at the minute. Michael van Gerwen is peaking his form once again at the right time of the year.
Yeah, it's hard not to see him progressing far in this one and players. And if we see him pick up one of those two, he's certainly going to be favourite, if not one of those, for the world title. And then in that group, and staying in that group, we saw Joe Cullen get the better of John Henderson with a 5-0 win. This was a group where we said on Monday on the live lounge that it seemed a bit easier to pick this one, and we expected 2 to run away. We've not seen anything different with the 2 favourites winning 5-0. How would you sum up that Joe Cullen performance?
I thought he was very good. I don't think he had to be at his very best, but he still was pretty much around the 99 average, I think. It was pretty solid. There were 4 180s in there, if I remember rightly, as well. And I thought he was quite impressive, to be honest. Medium-sized John wasn't really at it, but Cullen looked good, and it looks like, I mean, the risk of slightly going too far ahead here, that sets up a cracker for tomorrow, that one.
Yeah, it certainly does that. And for me, it sets it up for both sides. We've got 2 players who are obviously coming off the bat of 5-0 wins. The reverse of that, we've got 2 players who know not only do they need to win that game, but probably need to win it convincingly to put themselves in a good position down into then, which will be Tuesday night's action. So it sets up a good group with that being as it is with the 2 dames to meet at that stage. Then dame number 7, the penultimate dame of the night, Dob, we had Fallon Sherritt against the out of sorts Peter Wright. But it was Peter Wright who eased to victory in this one, with plenty of missed starts at a double from both players. And if you take them missed starts at a double out of this, it's a very, very good dame. But the amount of missed starts from both players certainly had an impact on that average and overall the dame.
Did Fallon Sherritt play tonight? Sky should have let us know.
It wasn't the montage at 1 o'clock or 1:05 good enough for you, though? Another one.
No, we needed.
I spent all day watching TV, ain't I, Lee? Yeah. No, look. Straighter barrel dart. They look like they're a little bit more tapered at the front, but the barrel looks very, very similar to what we're used to seeing Peter Wright win events with this year. Being able to win a game on TV, or the opening game on TV, where he's had such a bad run recently, where amazingly for once all of the attention is on his opponent, suited Peter Wright in this moment completely, because he can ease himself into the tournament. So good win, good leg difference, can start to build. And actually, if a Peter Wright turns up averaging 96 for the entire tournament over a really long format, it's going to be incredibly difficult to beat as well. He's got the pedigree, he's got the ability. He mentioned it in his pre-match interview that he proved everybody wrong, and he gets in trouble for talking, he gets in trouble for not talking. But if he wants to turn up and win things at a canter, he will do like he did at the match play, and he's threatened to do it again. And he called it before the match play. So who am I to say, no, you're not going to do that again this time?
Yeah, he called it, and he sort of like sheepishly called it in the interview before the game. But then after the game, he was like, right, I'm having this now, and I'm doing it. I'm still not sure he will. I'm not sure he's playing well enough to do that yet, but he played well enough tonight to beat Fallon, who wasn't probably quite at her best, a bit like Lisa as well. Maybe a bit of the attention was just a little bit too much this time. But yeah, I think
it's still a 90 average, but it's 1 from 9 on the double. So even if that goes up to somewhere near 50%, where you expect the top guys and girls to be, that's 4 legs that she might have got on the board potentially, and that average starts to creep up a little bit as well if those doubles are missed in batches. So look, Peter Wright is a quality performer. Fallon has been there, done that. She's up there for a reason, and all the hype around her is there for a reason. It's just if she can get that going, because the short format does suit her. Let's not forget that. She's been in the live.
I really fancied her to win today. Like
there were plenty, and Peter Wright's form would have dictated that as well. But I think there's a little bit of role reversal there. Didn't quite go Fallon's way at the World Series finals either. So good win for Snakey. And on to the last game, Lee.
Yeah, on to the last game, and it's only fair on this one to go to Tam. As I said earlier on, we come to you for one of the contenders of the night, game-wise. It's only fair to go to Tam for me. What was the game of the night, but certainly in the midst of being a contender with the return of Barney on a TV stage, and we see Michael Smith hitting doubles under pressure. Overall, turned it into a very, very good group game, Tam.
It was kind of back and forth. We had breaks either way. It's a really good watch, really enjoyable game to watch. Both played well. And Michael Smith hitting that dart under pressure when he needed it in the last leg to take out 25 clinically, to be fair. 2 darts and get rid of it. Thought it was a great game. Scoring was good. The doubling was pretty good from both as well. And it's just a shame we couldn't just get Jarlath Eaton in quickly to have a talk about his boy, but he is in America at the moment, so we'll have to let him off.
And he's had a wine, and we know what happens when we drink and try and do this show, so let's not.
Don't know what you're talking about. No, I've never had a drink on this show.
No, never, Cam, never me.
No.
we will swiftly move on. So, as normally with a fallout bar, we want to keep it short and sweet, give you a bit of a run through of the days and night action as we have at the Grand Slam, and then preview the next day. What I'm going to do for you now is just run through tomorrow's fixtures for you, and then Cam and Dob, I'm going to give you a bit of prep time here before I run through the fixtures. I want a standout game for you from the afternoon session, and a standout game for you from the evening session, and a prediction within that game. So you can play quite well here and pick a game that you've already got a prediction ready for, or you can actually go for your standout game in the afternoon. And
prediction ready for? You think we've actually done some work ahead of this?
That's why I'm going to give you a couple of minutes while I run through the fixtures for tomorrow, so you can have a bit of prep time on this. So tomorrow afternoon we'll have Martin Schindler taking on Nathan Rafferty, Mervyn King taking on Rusty Jade Rodriguez, James Wade taking on Boris Turchmar, and Chris Dolby taking on Stephen Bunting. Then we have Ryan Joyce and Roby John Rodriguez. Rob Cross takes on Jim Williams. Derwin Price takes on Christoph Ratajski. And Johnny Clayton will take on Bradley Brutz. And then we will move on to the evening session. And I will say this is the first session of the week where I will be in the venue, so I'm very much looking forward to this one. We have Lou Humphries taking on Matt Campbell. Barney takes on Joe Davis. John Henderson will play Lisa Ashton. Fallon Sherratt will return to the Wolverhampton stage to take on Mike Didetta. Jose De Souza takes on Mensur Sulovic. Darry Anderson takes on Michael Smith. Peter Wright, Gabriel Clemens. And to end the night, we have the 2 5-0 winners from tonight's session, Michael Van Derwin taking on Joe Cullen. So firstly, I will come to Tam, as it's only fair, I guess, as we've mentioned a couple of times, Dob has been in Reading. All eyes have been on the seniors for Dob today. So we'll come to you first, Tam. Afternoon session. Standout tie and your prediction on that one, please, mate.
I'm I'm going to go for a little bit of a left field one that I think probably could well be the game of the day in the afternoon. That's Ryan Joyce against Roby John Rodriguez after what we saw today from both of them. I think that's going to be an absolute cracker, and I think that we're going to see Roby John just nick it, but I think it might be another one that we see go 5-4.
Dob?
I don't know how many words it is, but the Polish Eagle will soar. That's all you need to know.
Why did I ask?
That's it. That's it.
Tom,
To be fair, there are some absolute battles. Mervyn King is in a lot of trouble against Rusty Jake Rodriguez after his heavy loss today. Wadey needs a result. Dobie Bunting, 2 players that we mentioned earlier, should have been competing for top spot in that group. That's pretty much a shootout for one goes home at the minute because one of them will be on 2 losses. To get through on 2 losses at the Grand Slam, it's not impossible. It doesn't happen very often. Might mean you're sneaking for a 9-dart shootout or leg difference. So whoever loses that, they want it to go to a last leg decider no matter what. Johnny Clayton, Bradley Brooks, that's all right. Rob Cross, Jim Williams. But yeah, Christoph Ratajski, Gerwin Price, 2 players in the top 10 players in the world right now. I think Ratajski is certainly climbing and getting close to that mark. And the Polish Eagle will soar.
I knew it was impossible to ask Dob for one game. He's just reeled off. He's reeled off 7. The only one he hasn't was the one that Cam said, I think.
I think it was.
I'm just covering all bases.
Come on, I think he's just done that to get out of actually giving us a prediction on what score Ratajski's going to win by.
Yeah.
5-2.
5-2. There we go.
There we go. Cam, I'll come to you first. The reason I'm coming to you first and then is if I don't, Dob will pick all 8 dames.
No, I'll just pick one.
So, Cam, coming to you first. Dame of tomorrow night. And make sure it's a 5-4 because I want 8 5-4s tomorrow night on there.
Yeah, you want to get your money's worth. Yeah, I think game of the night is going to be by far the best game to watch of the lot. Well, there's 2 there that are both going to be good, but
no, you've got to pick one.
Gary Anderson
don't
against
give me
Michael
abuse. You've got to pick one.
No, I'm only picking one. I'm saying there's 2 there that will be really good to watch. I'm going to pick probably not the one that you might have thought. I'm going Gary Anderson, Michael Smith, because it's just going to be a beautiful watch. Just quick players, 180s flying in. I think we'll see a cracking game. And I do think we might just see another 5-4 with that one. 2, Gando.
Ooh, after tonight.
Yeah, he didn't have to do anything tonight, though.
To be fair, Gando normally has one absolute stinker in this sort of format on the doubles, and that was tonight.
Yeah.
It's 5 from 22.
Cam, just to let you know, Moriachum wasn't slating your pick because if there's someone in online data who can't slate anyone picks, I'm sure it's me. So, before we carry on with that, Dob, just one. Just one from Sunday night.
Cam said there's 2 good-looking games, and I'm going to ignore the second one for something that won't be as pleasing on the eye, but will be a good scrap. Jose de Souza against Mensur Suljovic.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
It won't be a get-up, rat-a-tat game where it's the most pleasing on the eye, but the numbers will be great. There'll be twists and turns. There'll be miscounts. There'll be little moments of a head nodding from Mensur. Go on. A little bit of rocking from Jose. I need some more Lucasade. And Mensur is going to win 5-3.
Mensur played fairly quick today, actually.
Yeah. You need to add.
But there's still time for him. You think about his.
You need to.
Last year.
Tam, you need to add at the end of that sentence for him. He played fairly.
Yeah. Everything's relative.
Yeah, it wasn't at the rapid pace, but it was for Mensur. So we've covered today's action. We have covered partially what the pits are for tomorrow. Dobbs pits all late, obviously, in tomorrow afternoon sessions to be Dame of the afternoon. Dobbs not going to see any of them because he's going to be in Reading. And make sure you are following on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for all the updates from Dobb, from Reading. And as we have the final Final days qualifying. And who was your one to watch then? I apologise for
Colin McGarry. I'm just still hiding by the fact you mentioned Facebook and Instagram, and I forgot we have 3 social media channels today. Because
we just done everything on Twitter.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I've been on our Twitter. I've been on the World Seniors Twitter. I've helped out the guys at Jennings, and actually, Target have a lovely photo of the new Aspar boards, and I'm very pleasantly surprised about how that turned out because that was me too.
How are they holding up, by the way?
They're playing really well. I think they're playing all right. There's definitely an improvement on the Pro Tour. Its predecessor in that range. The fact that they turn and they look the same is fantastic. I really like the number ring too. They slot in pretty well. I haven't seen too many complaints or issues with them. You get the odd hard one, you get the odd soft one, but if we're getting a batch of 30 or so in that we are, you're going to get the odd one.
Yeah, of course you are.
It's just the way boards are manufactured. So yeah, I've been pretty impressed with them.
That might be my next one. I need a new board. Mine's a bit knackered.
I've had a chuck on them as well. Myself and a couple of the guys. Paul Starr got his darts out for a bit. Robbie Long got his out, and even got Helen Chamberlain firing in a ton. Go on.
So, as I said, for Reading updates, if you haven't got Twitter, make sure you do it, as everything will be on there. And he might put something on Facebook and
I'll try.
He remembers.
But Twitter is a must. If you haven't done it already, make sure you have, because Dob will put everything on there for you. Thank you, as always, to Boyle Sports, who are sponsoring the Fallout Bar this week. Thank you very much, Tam and Dob. As we are about to hit midnight on this Saturday night, thank you all for joining us, and we will be back tomorrow for the Fallout Bar. Good night, gentlemen.
Boyle Sports World Grand Prix on Sky Sports.